wow, okay. So I never, ever want to hear from anybody ever again that anarchism is unrealistic, that it is utopian, and that we absolutely need a state. Absolutely do, like 100%. Especially after seeing this clip.
That's what we're talking. You're the biggest thug here.
You brought him in.
All right, you're the biggest thug. Even your colleagues call you. Why you do what you do?
Oh my God, there is no way you can defend the necessity of the state. A little bit of context, there's three main characters: Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, Teamster president, who is Sean O'Brien. Teamsters is basically a federation of unions, if you will. They work with unions and they work with the working class. Teamsters is pretty similar to the AFL-CIO or the IWW minus the syndicalist tactics. But after watching this, oh my God, the balls that Sean O'Brien has is impressive.
Just to get a little factual on what Mr. O'Brien just said about right-to-work states versus forced work states. According to the compensation data report of the U.S. Commerce Department, an average salary for private sector employee in 2019 was $4,000 higher than the average employee in forced union states, stating that right-to-work states pay more. Now, if we also want to break this down to statistics, which was quoted earlier by Mr. O'Brien, about wage differences, if you talk to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in non-union jobs, their average salaries raised 14.6% compared to 11% wage increase on unionized workers from 2020 to 2023. If you go back to the percentage of union workers, because if unions was working so well, then you'd see an increase in union jobs, not a decrease. 50 years ago, 33% of our labor force was union. Today, it's 10.1%. If you go back and you start looking at wage earned, if you actually compare comparable wages to ages, not a partisan point, but you go to all wages earned, not just comparing 16 and over to 54 to 64-year-old ages, you'll see that the actual average, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that if you subtract the union dues, it's actually higher. Non-union employees are getting paid by roughly 1 to 2%, which is exactly what union dues are, is 1 to 2% of their salary.
So there's a lot wrong with what what's his name? Mark Wayne, that's what it was. Yeah, Mark Wayne. Mark Wayne already made a crucial mistake. Actually, he made two crucial mistakes. First off, he said all of that not accounting for inflation.
50 years ago, 33% of our labor force was union. Today, it's 10.1%.
Yeah, because of over a goddamn century of anti-union propaganda, even in fucking Nickelodeon. And secondly, union dues is what gives union the powers to do all of the things that they have won in terms of their strikes and their actions in the first place. Fundraising has to come from somewhere. Like, you're a politician. Your job as a politician, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, your job is to literally convince people to give you money so you can stay in power. Those are dues that people are paying to you. Whereas versus a labor union represents the workers directly and negotiates with their own workers on how they're gonna make these actions happen, how they're going to unite as one to negotiate these contracts with their CEOs. My goodness, I think there's a huge power imbalance here that is absolutely not being left out of the conversation by Mark Wooly-Booly. Speaking of this video, there's an excerpt from it that is relevant to this part of the video that I want to replay for y'all. So what this tells the audience is that these grievances that Squidward and SpongeBob, well, more specifically Squidward, aren't resolved through the actions that they took throughout this episode, and it leaves the audience with the unfounded impression that unions and striking do not work, which isn't even true. According to an annual report on union membership released by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, on average, union workers make 18% more than their non-union counterparts, and that statistic is even greater for women workers, who are 23% more likely to get paid more than their non-union counterparts African American workers who get 20% more, and Hispanic workers who get 35% more. And this is to say that unions help the community as well as families and hard-working people who are trying to make it by. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember Mark Wayne Mueller, okay? Like, that's so fucking weird. Get a normal name, like a normal person. He's just relying on the old anti-union trick that if they pay dues, they're losing money. You know what else also is hard to pay for when you are employed? Gas to your fucking job, the clothes on your back, the soles in your boots. I had to pay for fancy ass boots in order to maintain one of my jobs. This has been elaborated on by Terry Pratchett in his Discworld novel Men at Arms. It's often referred to as the Vimes boots theory. It goes something like this. The reason why the rich are so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kinds of boots Vimes always bought and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobble. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have to spend $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. This was the Captain Samuel Vimes boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. And these are the same boots. I'm surprised that they actually lasted this long and survived all these years. I had to get these specifically upgraded shoes. If I got something cheaper, these boots wouldn't even exist anymore. I had to pay for fancy ass fucking soles so that way the soles can stay on my fucking feet for longer than a week. You're a fucking senator. And my friend, senators do nothing but fart in the fucking couch and yell at each other.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here in the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours.
All aboard the Small Dick Energy Express here at Insecurity Station, because my friend, we have somebody who felt the need to flex that this motherfucking politician did any fucking work throughout his entire fucking life. That is absolutely pathetic. And it's performative, by the way. Why is it performative? Well, I actually have not shown you the president of Teamsters yet, but that's about to change. I'm going to show you that now. The bald dude with the glasses in the middle is Sean O'Brien, the president of Teamsters, and behind him are a bunch of people whom I assume are being represented by Sean O'Brien himself or Teamsters as a whole. You got one guy doing a literal face palm, another guy doing an eye roll, one guy over here literally just like side-eyeing the whole crowd. You got the cameraman just like, what the fuck did you just say? And most importantly, the shock and horror of this one UPS truck driver. I specifically singled out this frame because although this screenshot is not from this exact moment, it is from later in the press hearing, and my God, what you're about to see unfold is absolutely appalling. And of course, definitely not what somebody who has working class sympathies would pull in front of another group of working class people. Buckle your seatbelts because it's gonna get fucking crazy in here.
Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, every poll?
Oh, fuck, yo.
Eric, sit down. Okay. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Bernie says, like, sit down, sit down.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing.
You know, this is really interesting because Bernie Sanders is parenting Marky Woolly Bully Boy.
God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress.
That is the first accurate thing I've heard throughout this whole fucking video so far, is that people have a lot of contempt for Congress. I say this as an anarchist, as a communist, as somebody who has definitely done my fair share of reading of leftist literature. Even non-anarchists and non-communists don't trust their government. Nobody trusts these people. Like when you bring up the two-party system, when people talk about the Democrats or Republicans, usually people are like, oh man, fuck. I'll vote Democrat because, goddamn, the other one's a million times worse. Fucking obvious as to why at this point. Bernie Sanders, if you're the one who is leading all of this, you can fucking kick this man out. Like, if you need to fucking, like, get everyone to vote and just kick this motherfucking man out, this is allowed to go on in our government.
No,
You're one of
now,
100 of the most
hold
elite
it,
people.
please.
Act it.
Please. All right? This is excuse me. This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. We're not here to talk about fights.
I'm exposing him.
You can expose anything you want.
So in
I'm gonna pull a hex.
2013, O'Brien was suspended by the Teamsters for intimidating your own members. In 2014, you were part of, what would you say, organizing the harassment and intimidation of the Top Shelf crew?
Chef, not chef.
Top Chef, okay.
It's so funny because like midway through trying to like get the smoking gun on Sean O'Brien, he's like stuttering and even getting some facts incorrect.
And then, and I think in the reports they said sexual, racist and homophobic slurs and death threats. 14 tires were sliced and 5 Teamsters were arrested. And you said, well, I had nothing to do with it. But however, in that same statement, you said, but if I get called to testify, I'll plead the fifth.
Now, full disclosure, I'm going to come clean and say I don't know for sure as to whether or not whatever he said is true or false. Regardless as to whether or not it is true or false, all of these points don't help his case, and I'm about to explain why. If Sean O'Brien is really guilty of the things that he's accusing him of, like slashing tires, making homophobic and racist remarks, using threats of intimidation to maintain his own seat in power from his subordinates, which, by the way, the pot is literally calling the kettle black here, then it's not like unions and their representatives are monolithic or all angels here. That's never been the case. What's being put on trial here, if you can read the banner, is standing up against corporate greed. And that's exactly what he's been doing this entire time, is avoiding having that discussion in the first place. All of these hot and stinky machismo stunts that, what's his name again, Max Weinert? I don't remember. Has all served the purpose of distracting his fellow congressmen from having this discussion about corporate greed. Clearly he has it out against the unions, and there is an invested interest in it. And that's because he is a CEO of his father's company, literally inherited it at age 20. That means he owned a business since he was fresh out of high school without having to worry about startup capital and the finances to start a business in the first place because he inherited it from his daddy. So I call his bluff saying that he's worked hard his whole life. Bullshit. And it makes sense as to why he's against unions, because unions go against his fucking bottom line as a business owner. He's the only currently sitting senator, by the way, that doesn't have a bachelor's degree, which means that his violent antics in front of Congress has proven to be an act where he's compensating for something that he lacks. He can't even fucking pin, like, bullshit on him like that. He can't even ask Sean O'Brien like a loaded anti-union question.
And you're obviously going to give him a chance to respond to your questions.
Absolutely, because this is my question. Because you called me out. I didn't call you out.
Yeah, you did.
You said anytime, any place.
Let's get the record
Okay.
straight.
Ms. Hold it, no.
Hold on.
Senator Mullen, do you have a question for the witness?
Yeah. I
Okay,
think that's what I'm
let's hear it.
So, anytime, any place.
No, that's not.
April is a charity event.
No, that's not. No,
it's a sir. He said it, and this is.
He is here to no.
So this stupid bullshit really drags on for a while. It's absolutely crazy, like clown shoes energy right here. But I like the way all of this wraps up into a nice little bow. Just watch this scene.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April
about?
30th. How about we do it for a charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No, we're not going to be
what was the
talking about
challenge?
physical confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What'd you say by anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's right.
That fucking got me, dude. That fucking got me. Let's go out for coffee, y'all. Who said anything about a fight? Unfortunately, there's no winners in this fiasco because the topic of corporate greed has been systematically avoided by Mueller's stupidity and immature bullshit. But this is such a winning moment right here. The smile on Sean O'Brien's face after he said that. Like, yeah, who's making the fucking threats now? Bernie Sanders is right. It's no wonder that people hold contempt for people in Congress. Like, this is just absolutely fucking clown shoes.